Hi, I'm Sarah Jane from Natural Heating, and today we're going to take a look at the Heta Ambition 5. This is my own house and my own new stove. We've just finished decorating this room, well, nearly. I'm just waiting for a vlog coming. It's an old Edwardian farmhouse, and we've been stripping it out and renovating it, and so far this is the only room that's just about done. And I really love my blue room. This is going to be my kind of office cover study area. So this is the Heta Ambition 5, which is a Danish Scandinavian made 5 kilowatt model. I've previously had the 8 kilowatt version in our last house and loved it. It's one of my all-time favourite stoves. It's slick, it's modern, it's contemporary, but it's also rather timeless and beautiful. It burns really cleanly. The door handle gets warm but not hot, it is air cooled. It's got a large glass, and what I'm trying to do here is make my room look very traditional. Oh, let's see if we can see you. I haven't done the curtains yet, but this room is going to look really traditional, and it's Faro and Ball and stiff key blue paint. I've put in a cast iron fireplace surround. A nice big prune, and this is a honed granite hearth that we've put in. Now, what can we tell you about this? It's a single air control. It just moves from left to right. Really easy door handles. One of the things that I like most about this stove is the actual firebox. I've not lit this stove before yet, not this particular one, although I know the model very well. It's a really deep firebox that tapers and drops away, so the ash retention in this model is spectacularly good. It's probably the cleanest stove I've ever used for in terms of spilling any ash on the hearth. I really just love it. I don't really like it in bungalows. It causes a lot of problems for customers in bungalows. It doesn't like short chimneys, so if you've got what I'd call an old person's type bungalow with a really shallow roof angle and a low height, it doesn't like it. It just struggles with low chimneys because it's got such a lot of height in the actual firebox itself. It needs a lot of power and a lot of air draw. And likes taller chimneys, preferably 6 meters plus. Any less than that, then customers do tend to struggle with it for getting up to temperature. It's so well insulated inside, and the heat throughout the front is fabulous. It's a fairly slimline body. I'm going to show you one in the shop hopefully tomorrow or later and patch it the video so you can see the back and see what it does, because it does have a couple of quirks. It needs a good spacing off the wall. The reason it needs a good spacing off the wall is there is a spigot that sticks out the back for direct air connection, so you need to be quite well off the wall at the back with this model. It's got fairly low distance to combustibles. It will sit 150mm forward of a combustible wall at the back. The side clearances aren't great, so you really want to fit it in a fireplace opening or not in a corner. It wants to be against a flat wall. Can sit on a 12mm hearth. There is a log store as an option for this model as well. It comes in both black and grey as standard, and we tend to keep both of them in the 5 kilowatt model. It has top and rear flue outlet. So you'll see that I'm using the top outlet on this one, but there is a rear outlet option on the back as well. It's fairly close to the back. It's not bad. Decent collar on it. I don't like rear fluing on these because what happens is when you put the collar on the back, the blanking plate that sits in here sits raised. Now, see this collar here, and it sits up. Not a lot, 2 or 3 millimeters maybe, from the actual top surface of the stove. When you rear flue it, the blanking plate that goes in here sits proud. So I don't really like rear fluing it. I prefer top fluing it. Both the 5 kilowatt and the 8 kilowatt model. The 8 kilowatt does right up to 12 kilowatt and as low as 4. Same width, same height, just a different depth, a couple of inches deeper Firebox. Both of them have a 5-inch flue. And although there's no cog rate, they are actually classed as multi-fuel models. I have burnt smokeless fuel on one of these before and it does spectacularly well. Although personally I don't like burning smokeless fuel. So this one has never been lit before, which is quite exciting because I know this stove well, but I've been so looking forward to lighting my own stove in my own new house. So we'll put a couple of small logs in there and our Jenga stack of kindling. I'll build that back on up a little bit. I'm a bit fussy with kindling. I'm just going to grab a fire lighter. You don't need a blowtorch to light a fire, but it's not really possible to do matches on one hand very easy on video. So I typically use my blowtorch. I'll stick that kindling. Look at this, I'm making a mess already. Ah well, that's how it is. Now the trick with an ambition is always Jenga pile on top of 2 small logs in the middle and leave that door a fraction ajar. There is so much height in this Firebox, loads of height, because your wood is sitting away down here in the bottom, right to the top. One of the beautiful things about it is there is so much fire view. But that makes it one of the most difficult models. That big glass height and the fact that the logs are sat so low down on the inside is what makes this one of the most renowned as one of the most difficult models in the stove industry to light. It is either your best friend or your worst enemy. And the process of lighting this in the correct method, in other words, having 2 small logs on the bottom, nice big high Jenga pile on the top, and that door cracked slightly ajar, and not closing it too quickly, is absolutely key to getting this lit and up to temperature as fast as possible. If you don't give it enough power and enough heat to get that draw created, because it's so good at sending the heat forward, it will smoke back. And that's not the stove's fault, it's your fault. You need to give it the power and the rise to get the pull going in the chimney, or your pressure will drop in the chimney, the cold air comes back down and the smoke comes down into the room, and that's just because you haven't given it enough time. If you had a really good day and the weather is mild outside, you may well get away with putting your kindling in the bottom and the logs on the top like you would have with olden days, or how we used to light fires. But 8 times out of 10 with this fire, you just won't. And believe you me, if it smokes back, you're going to know about it. And you're going to fall out of love with it. And you're going to hate it. And that's just not what this fire is about. Light it this way, it's the way it likes to run, and it will be your best friend. And I just adore this fire. So for all the quirks and its known entities, it's still there in my top 2 favourite all-time fires. So, you know, it's there for a reason. I've actually put 2 of them into this house, not just 1. And I'm not going to do that if I don't like it, am I? So you will see that it's lit. I got off to a good start because the door's open. My kindling pile is burning down well, and my logs in the bottom are just about starting to catch. Just give it a little bit of time. So you see this is black carbon on the baffle plate that hasn't burnt off yet because it's not up to heat. Until those logs are catching quite nicely, which they will do very quickly, then I'm not going to shut this door. It takes maybe a good 10 minutes with the door slightly ajar before I'm going to shut it. If I shut that door too quick, the temperature in there is just going to drop because there's not a lot of clearance from this top of the baffle plate to the inside front of the stove where you've got all this glass height. and it really needs to warm up that firebox adequately before you attempt to shut the door. So we'll just give it a few minutes. There you go. You can see from the inside that it's dropping down and starting to catch my locks, I hope. I can see it. Can you see it? It's getting there in the middle bit and the inside. These are just little ones because that's what fits in that log basket and they're small. But it will take, he's got a great big wide firebox in there. This will take up to, it's about 18 inches in the inside width. It's big wide firebox, not big in diameter, but it doesn't take lots of fuel, doesn't need lots of fuel. There's more than an adequate space for a couple of good big long logs, and I like nice big longer ones which are just fab in this stove. There we go, she's catching well now, see? Now it's caught onto the bottom layers and catching the logs. You can see the marked difference. So another 30 seconds maybe, and then I'm going to shut the door. Just give the logs time to catch. I can already feel there's a good amount of heat coming through this glass. You'll see it drop now, and you'll see this baffle go blacker. And then inside the next couple of minutes, those logs will catch more, and then the baffle will start to clear. So we'll come back to it in a little bit. So this is just the kindling fire, and as you can see, I've got the door open and there is no smoke spillage out of this whatsoever. Nothing. The important bit with this fire is making sure that you get enough initial heat in that firebox with the door slightly ajar before you shut it. So I'll put another small log on the top, shut it down, shut the door and let it get on with it and come up to temperature, and then we'll come back to it. So it's been about 15 minutes probably, and it's starting to get up to temperature quite nicely. If you have a look behind me, which I'll show you in a second, the baffle is just starting to clear. So there you go, you'll see that the fire baffle in the inside is black with carbon, which is fine because it's just getting up to temperature, and we've got a white circle forming as it is clearing down that carbon and getting up to temperature. We don't want to even remotely think of adjusting the air control until all of that interior is back to being cream coloured and it's up to heat. So just let it do its stuff for now. Isn't she nice? Let it just do its stuff for now and finish heating up. Right, it's burning just gorgeous now. It's beautiful and bright. You'll hear quite a lot of noise, including wind noise in here. There's really nothing. It's really echoey because I've not got any soft furnishings in this room. I'm still waiting on rugs come in. I haven't done curtains yet. So the whole room is just high and echoey and noisy. It's not the fire. The fire's not noisy at all actually, but it's just gorgeous. I just love this so much. Beautiful bright interior. Spotlessly clean glass. Currently on full air while I've been waiting on the baffle heating up. This part of the handle here will get really quite hot. The bottom part, which is air cooled, I usually don't have too much of an issue opening by hand, but it is getting hot. I mean, the heat that comes out the front of this glass on these is phenomenal. It really chucks all the heat out the front, astonishingly so. I just love this fire. So we'll turn the air down. Has a DEFRA stop in it. It will burn beautifully bright and clean on the lowest air setting after it's up at temperature. It's important to always make sure that that bar at the back where you see the air injectors for the tertiary air intake, never, ever, ever load above that bar. It needs to be well below. There's no excuse to put that much fuel in it. I've got a few small logs in here, and they were small ones. They really were just dinkies. The smallest of what was in my basket, they're only about 6 inches or so. 7 inches maybe long, little tiny things. It doesn't show you how big these are. That basket is teeny weeny weeny because it fits at the side of my hearth and beside my bureau, and it's not my favourite, but I haven't found anything I like that will fit in that space yet. I'll find something at some point in time. But this will burn lovely and clean on low air for a long time with good red ember in the base on the lowest air. There is a DEFRA stop in this, so that is as low an air as it's going to go with the DEFRA stop, and I'm quite happy at that because the glass just doesn't get dirty on this once it's at temperature. Always crack your door before opening, and as you can see, no spill and nothing coming out. It's so important you get this stove letting up to temperature right. Can't stand the heat with that door open. It really is ferocious. That'll burn lovely down to red, hot, chunky red ember, and once there's a good ember base in it, I will typically only burn 1 log at a time in this stove. It is so super low consumption on fuel, doesn't need much at a time, and that tapered Firebox, as you can see, don't overheat my phone, is really good for ash retention in the inside. Typically I manage to drop a little bit on the hearth, but that's nothing. I'll pick that up in a minute when it cools down. Anyway, if you're looking for something that could potentially tick the modern and the traditional boxes, yeah, the Heta Ambition is a lovely choice. It's clean and simple, tidy, elegant, no fuss. I don't know what else to tell you apart from it's pure brilliant, and I love it. Anyway, as another video review from Sarah Jane at Natural Heating, and I hope you find it helpful. We do carry this model in store in the shop, in both colours and both sizes. So it's always there to be able to look at, and I will insert some other snips of what we've done so you can see how this room was before we knocked it out, and also what the back of this stove looks like. So my Ambition has been burning for some time now, and as you can see, it's down to chunky red ember on the inside. So what we're going to do is, this bit does get hot, knock the air control fully open. We're going to get a new log to reload it. So the door handle's warm but not hot. That bit gets hot, as I think I mentioned to you before. It's a great big door. You're going to get lots of white fly ash if you open it too quick. So open the door and prime it. Give it a few seconds to just suck that way. And now we can reload. No air spill. Now, because I've got some nice chunky ember in there, 1 log's plenty. And this does kick out a lot of heat on not a lot of fuel. So 1's enough. For me, that is. Put more in if you need it. But you see that that's going to catch nice and quick. And as soon as the air has caught and stabilised, then I can turn it back down a bit, and I'll turn it down to somewhere between midpoint and closed. Now this stove has got a DEFRA airlock in it, so it's not going to shut down totally. You'll always have some air intake. It's plenty hot in there, and that will just pick away in just a second. Doesn't take too long, and the heat off the front of this is just mad. Such a good projecting stove for heat output. There we go. You see that's catching nice and quick now. is nice dry logs and very hot clean stove. And I'll turn it halfway down. There we go, I'm plenty happy with that.